All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Mark of Balance. My name is Mark, and today I'm super excited and I'm super proud to get you guys this episode on the Obi Wan Kenobi series. This is going to be a roundtable discussion, but unlike past roundtables where I've only been able to involve one or two community members, this time around I've gotten 12 different Mark of Balance supporters, community members to be on the podcast with me this week. I am so excited. I'm so grateful for everyone that came out and gave me their time to talk about the Kenobi series. And I want to let you know that this is all about you guys. This is all going to be highlighting your thoughts and opinions. If you want to hear mine, you can check out my past couple episodes. But since this is a prequel era show and a lot of my listeners are from that era, all my listeners, what am I talking about? I wanted to highlight you guys because I know this means so much. And I think what I'm most excited about is, of course, I've brought back some familiar faces that have been on the podcast before, but I also have a couple new faces that brought a lot of awesome opinions to the table. And I think the big theme I want to get out of this episode for you guys is that this show was, of course, divisive on the internet. And you'll see that in these interviews, there's a lot of diverse opinions. There's going to be people that really liked it, some people that thought it was very okay, and some people that didn't enjoy a lot of it. And all of that is okay. All of the opinions here are valid. We're all Star Wars fans, and I am just proud to be able to give a platform for that kind of discussion. And I hope you guys enjoy seeing all the different lenses that people watch the show through. So without further ado, I want to get right into the interviews. Each one is about 5 to 7 minutes, and I basically just ask the guests what their overall opinion on the show is, what they would change if they would change anything, and what their favorite moments were. And, of course, I wanted to give them the freedom to talk about any other pieces of the show that they wanted. But those are the basic premise of each interview. So I really hope you guys enjoy. And, yeah, let's do it. All right. Cole is back on the podcast. And we've been talking about Obi Wan every week. And I know you have some strong opinions. So I want to allow you to articulate them with your own words. So please go ahead, Cole.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you letting me use your platform for my own personal gain. It's always a pleasure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, dude, so we've been going back and forth every week. And I think the biggest turn of events for me is getting the confirmation that the script we got in this show was originally for a movie that they just dragged over 6 hours. Because that's exactly what the unevenness of this writing felt like.
Right.
It just felt like it was very much, kind of forced, filler. Like it very, very much felt like filler anime at times. Like information that was fun, but not needed.
Yeah.
And like the Scooby-Doo aspect of things, of Obi-Wan leading Leia out. I mean, I know it's not the worst thing we can nitpick here, but whatever. Mm-hmm. I will say the show did have, because, don't let my passion for the hate fool you. It did have some really good Star Wars moments. I think Anakin, his conflict between the light and the dark during his conversation with Obi-Wan is, for me, hands down, a top 5 Star Wars moment, period, all time.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I really do think, because the way I perceived that scene, after watching it a couple of times, seeing a bunch of takes on it, is, when Anakin's talking and the light is reflected on him, and he says, "I'm not your failure, Obi-Wan." That is, to me, the last 10% or whatever it is of Anakin saying, "This is not your fault. This is my fault." Mm-hmm. And it's almost like giving him that closure. Like the last inkling of Anakin was like, "Dude, not your fault. This is on me.
Look out for my brother."
Yeah. And it's like after I came to that kind of perspective of it and now rewatching it, I'm like, yeah, this is some powerful stuff. And Ewan McGregor's performance in that was bar none. It was incredible. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think the biggest thing I would change from the whole show entirely was at the end of this script in the movie, Reva dies.
Yeah, they did say that.
And the biggest thing was, obviously the main antagonist is Vader, right? But it takes away that thrill and almost that anxiety of, neither of them, they're both going to walk away unscathed for the most part. They have a future after this. Owen, Beru, Luke, they all have a future after this. So what's the drama? What's going to tie you into like lose or gain something in the show? It was going to be Reva. Mm-hmm. It was either going to be someone that Obi-Wan could save or Obi-Wan could kill, essentially take out. Because she's going to find out the most crucial information in the universe, in the galaxy, that no one's supposed to know. I'm sure we all know that. But, it's just, to me, the biggest change I'd probably do in the show was Reva's overall outcome.
Right.
And because her character wasn't bad. It was just, I don't think it was the place. It just wasn't properly used, I feel.
Yeah, the pieces were there for her, but yeah, maybe not in a Kenobi show. If she had her own standalone show, maybe leading into this, I think that would have been pretty cool, and kind of getting that whole backstory before
Yeah.
jumping into this, and then yeah, like you said, kind of taking up a lot of screen time. So I'm glad you liked the end scene with Vader, but was there anything else? Because you're a big Vader comics guy, so
Yeah.
Vader comics to the Vader we saw today in the show. Like, what do you think?
So the only thing that is, you saw a lot of strong Vader. Obviously, again, his character was super uneven, but that's with the writing. We saw a display of his power when he just kind of I thought it was a callback to Star Killer when he grabbed it from out of the sky. When the rebellion to be is like trying to escape, and he just tears it apart, and then obviously he can't do it 5 seconds later to the next one and gets away. But in comparison to the Vader comics, I just wish that I liked how aggressive he was, but I just wish it was more consistent. And the thing that was to me the most disappointing was the lack of authority with the Inquisitors. Vader is taking limbs from these guys. Vader is giving them unrepairable scars to let them know of their failures, that they are beneath him. All right, Reva's got a tracker on Kenobi. Give me the tracker, and that's it.
See you later.
You start, and obviously we find out later that there was a whole bigger purpose to that. But even that purpose with the Grand Inquisitor coming back, Vader acknowledging that he knew her plan from the get-go, even that kind of felt like a reach because it was clearly thrown in there because that was part of the 6-hour, filler or whatever. It had to be an episodic end.
Yeah.
I think my biggest takeaway too is just Vader's whole purpose throughout the comics. It's obviously perceived from the viewer. He has 2 sole purposes in life. That's hunting Jedi and bringing Padme back. It's the only thing that keeps Anakin Skywalker somewhat alive in Darth Vader's vessel to get him to episode 6 to be saved. Like, that's kind of what the point is, because Palpatine made a great point in the show where he was like, I feel like your feelings are kind of, and that's how he shuts down Anakin. But that's how you can kind of see that still prominently there, even if it might be the minority.
Yeah, so I've been asking a lot of people, and I already know the answer that you're going to give, but there's been some rumors of season 2, a Reva spinoff, a Vader spinoff. Do any of those attract you?
No. I mean, obviously, it comes back to the grand thing. Am I going to watch it? Yes. If I had to pick anything that came from this show, Vader, obviously. I think it'd be the coolest thing, honestly, because a tie back to, I believe it was Mark of Balance episode, Kyle Henderson. When you were like, I really want it to be like 60-40, Obi Wan, Anakin go back and forth. And I think you would honestly argue that Obi Wan and Anakin collectively might have been 50%, and then Reva got the other 50. Yeah,
Reva and Leia.
So it's like the expectations for this show are so monumentally high, and they will be for those legend characters in Vader. And, even Reva has an interesting story, but with the writing that came from this one, I'm over it. Like, why didn't we get the care for this show that we got from Mandalorian?
Right. Yeah, like if this got this level of writing, like you can't expect a spinoff to be anywhere above what you got here. So it's very scary to commit to that.
And it's disappointing too, because you love seeing Ewan and Hayden Christensen back on the screen, and you want more of it. But give us a cameo in Ahsoka. Throw them in. Other projects, give them the features. Don't overuse a good thing, because the last thing we need is more backlash to come back on their characters after they finally were welcomed back into the fandom.
So true. All right, Cole. Well, thank you so much for joining today and giving your opinions. This has been great.
Yeah, I appreciate it greatly. It's always a pleasure to come on and upset the balance a little bit.
Ooh. No, this is good. This is part of the balance. This is the dark and light coming together. It's perfect. Thank you, Cole.
All right, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, so hello, Liv. Thank you for joining me again as my resident Ewan McGregor stan and Obi Wan stan. I am excited to hear your thoughts on this show. So go ahead, the floor is yours.
All right. So I guess a good way to start off is to say that the show itself, watching it, was a completely different experience from what I had expected just from sitting down and seeing the trailer. I didn't think he'd be leaving Alderaan. I didn't think he'd be meeting characters like Leia or anything like that. But I found myself pleasantly surprised at the way that the show progressed, and seeing an Obi Wan build a relationship with Leia. And I thought that was really enjoyable. And then it also makes the whole like Ben Solo thing make sense. So it's another one of those like retconning things for the sequel, which I did enjoy. I thought the series was great. It didn't do anything monumental. We knew only so much could happen within the span of time that he was on Tatooine. And I didn't necessarily want them to do anything monumental. I just wanted kind of like a look into Obi-Wan's mind, what was going on Tatooine. I would have just been happy with that. So the fact that they took that even further was great in many ways. My favorite part of the show, personally, was when Obi-Wan found out that Anakin is alive. Of course, I enjoyed the battles. Because they were really well done. The first one I actually loved a lot. The second one was great for obvious reasons because I'm a huge Obi-Wan fan and I liked to see him beat the crap out of Darth Vader. That was awesome. But I liked getting there gradually. I feel like with a lot of characters, Star Wars has jumped and said, oh, like they're amazing all the time. And you know, like Rey, but we really got to see like the build up to that, him getting used to using the Force again, which was really cool. But I did like his reveal better than the fights. It was something that I didn't even consider, like that we would see. You know, there were so many things that like I made a bingo chart of all of the things that I wanted to see in the show, and that wasn't on it. But when it happened, I was so pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, like it made sense.
It did. It made so much sense. I don't know if that happened in the comics because I haven't read all the comics. So I had no idea. I was like, oh wait, that makes total sense for us to see that sort of thing.
Yeah.
If I were to change something about the show, I think I said this on one of your stories on Instagram too. I think the scripting was either really, really good in certain sections. There were some really good quotes. Like I loved when he was like, when Leia asks him what the Force feels like, and he's like, what is it like when you're afraid of the dark and then you turn on the light? It feels like that. I loved that. And then there were other moments in the show where I was like, this is so unbearably cheesy. Cheesier than Clone Wars in some areas. And I'm like, okay, I know this is catering to kids. So I know that, but it just felt a little sloppy in some places. And they had a lot of time. So I was like, oh, you guys like could have done something about that sort of thing. And then my other note overall for the show, I would have really liked to see Obi-Wan reflect on his own a little bit more. I expected the show to really allow us like to have this inside scoop in his mind and to see like his guilt. And we saw all of that externally by seeing him interact with other characters. But it wasn't like there wasn't enough of a personal feel. Right. I feel. And that's the only thing that I would have changed because I loved the new characters. I thought all the new characters were really cool. The Inquisitor, what was her name?
Riva, yeah.
Riva was an amazing character, and I want to see more of her. That whole thing, any like seeing Order 66, that made me super happy. Yeah.
I think what you mentioned about the internal like dialogue with himself, I feel like that's one of the drawbacks of live action is you can't really get into characters' minds the same as maybe an animation. And I feel like that would have been cool. And maybe a note for like future shows, like if you want to do a really personal character story, maybe animation is the better route to do it in.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I agree with that a lot. The little moments where he was speaking to Qui-Gon out loud, perfect.
Yes.
That was great. And that told us from the beginning of the show, was like, oh yes, by the way, you are going to be seeing Liam Neeson. And I was like, okay, cool. That's
come on.
Thing, like, because I know a lot of people were very angry that the show didn't do enough of like the flashbacks and the fan service sort of things. Like they expected a lot more of the fan service. We did get it. We did get and that was incredible. I cried like a day over just seeing Anakin and Obi-Wan spar. I would have liked to see Ahsoka.
I know. In like live action, not the Mandoverse, like, but in the prequel era where she like belongs. Like, it would have been really,
exactly.
It would have been great. And I do have to mention, you are in a Padme-inspired outfit right now.
So
her Naboo outfit. So did you love that Padme was such a focal point for Obi-Wan in the show?
Yes, I didn't expect them to mention her at all. But just the little like callbacks. in the original series, you know, we don't hear about her. She's not as like quote unquote important. It's always like, oh, you remind me so much of your father. It's your father,
Right.
your father this, your father that. But like hearing about Padme and like what she had done, it was just that was a wonderful thing for me. Because she's my, other than Leia, my favorite Star Wars female character. So
Yeah, I did really love Padme's mention, and then yeah, Leia. I was actually just reading the Princess of Alderaan book. I just finished it, and it was so cool to watch the show while also reading that because it's like fully
yeah.
filling out Leia's life right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
that
I
was
love
cool.
that. I love that. And I love that like they keep things consistent with the canon
Hmm.
books as well.
Yeah.
And it's nice to read those books and be like, oh, okay, so those are the mountains where that happened.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was really cool to see Alderaan. Just like actually like see it. It was
Yeah.
awesome. And
Not a
I know it
desert
was a
planet.
money grab. I know it was a money grab. I love Lola.
I do love Lola too.
I want the toy so badly. I think she's so cute.
You know it's already out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is. Hasbro jumped on that really fast.
For sure. And then the last question I like to end these interviews with, and I think you kind of already mentioned it, but there have been a lot of rumors around a season 2, a Reva spinoff, a Darth Vader spinoff. What are your thoughts on those three? Yes, no. You can just go down the line.
Well, I'm always going to say yes if it involves more Ewan McGregor
Of
and
course,
more
of
Obi-Wan.
course.
Especially since the way that they left the show off, you know that his primary thing, like he's going to be watching over Luke, but not as like staunchly. So what else is he doing now? I want to see that.
Right.
I would be fine with a show about Obi-Wan learning to cook. I don't care. Like it's Obi-Wan. I'm not going to complain.
Right.
I on like a non-funny note, I want more of Reva. I want more of her. She's so cool. I love her backstory. That was one of the best plot points of the whole show. I want to see where she goes from here.
Right. And she knows so much now. Like
she knows so much. She knows
So
so much. I think even like that's more important than getting more Obi-Wan because we kind of know what he does from here. It would just be like more fluff in a sense. But Reva, where do you navigate your life from after that? It would be really interesting to see that.
Definitely. Big time. Well, Liv, thank you so much for coming on. I hope you enjoyed. I really appreciate you giving your opinion on the show.
Thank you for having me on.
Of course. And I'm sure there'll be more collabs in the future.
Yes.
But yes, thank you so much for your opinion on this.
Of course. I have a lot of opinions. I'll always have opinions.
All right. So Brandon Figueroa, B-Figs, is back on the Mark of Balance podcast. He was one of the winners of the Star Wars Celebration merch giveaways, and I got him an Obi Wan Kenobi shirt. Brandon, are you going to be wearing that shirt with pride? What'd you think of the show overall?
Overall, I really like the show. I mean, of course, with any show, there's certain things that you would change if you were like the director of it. But overall, I really liked it. And I think the last 2 episodes really like changed it for me, where it was like, okay, now I really like it, because going into like from episodes 1 through 4, it was like, all right, I like the show. It's good. And then, of course, me being a prequels fan, it was like, oh, like when we first found out it was coming out, I was so excited and everything. And then the first 2 episodes hit, and the end of episode 2, I was like, all right, this could be really good. And then episode 3 and 4, I was just like, more so episode 4, I was just like, all right. I mean, there's certain things going on right now that I would change. But then episode 5 and episode 6 happened, and I was like, okay, we're back on track. For me, this is really good. And I really enjoyed it overall. Like, I definitely feel like in most spots, I got exactly what I wanted from it. So
yeah, the middle part definitely wasn't the best part. I know a lot of people were getting nervous after those middle 2 episodes, but yeah, I agree. The last 2 episodes definitely brought it back for me. What were some of your favorite parts of the show?
All right, so being a Darth Vader fan and being my favorite character, so seeing him getting like suited up, or just even in when Reva's talking to Obi-Wan while he's hiding from her, and she's like, you didn't know he was alive, did you? And then it cuts to the end of him in the tank, and it's just like, it was like, okay, so now this is real. Like, we're actually going to get live action Vader besides from like the originals. And then at the end of Revenge of the Sith. So that was exciting. I loved seeing Obi-Wan like shake off the rust, kind of, because you could tell like he had been disconnected from the Force for so long that like it wasn't easy for him. Like, he was getting his butt kicked at times, and it was funny. Like, when I think he punched somebody, he's just like, oh, and it just reminded me, like when he punched Grievous for forgetting he was like kind of a robotish
big metal guy. Yeah.
So that was good to see. But it was good to see him like shake off the rust, and then at times where he was just popping off, and it was just like, okay, like this dude is like legit again. Like it was it was good to see that. And of course, how can I not say like Vader just pulling the ship down and just ripping it apart? Like they got away, which was good. Of course, that had to happen, but like still just seeing that, it was just like, all right, like we got a live action version of this dude just being an absolute menace.
Yeah.
Versus, like in the originals, like yeah, he was like in Empire Strikes Back, he's throwing all that stuff at Luke, but it's like this was like the Vader I wanted to see live action. It was kind of like Rogue One, where he was just like in the hallway scene where he's just going off on everybody. So it was cool to see that, and of course the last fight between the two.
Yeah, the mask scene was great. Was there anything that you would change about the show?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will probably say this, but like changing Reva's story a little bit. I mean, I feel like after episode 5, after her and Vader have their encounter, and then the Grand Inquisitor, you see that he's not dead. Which we all knew, but
yeah.
Like I feel like they could have ended it right there and it was fine. Like I know she had her happy ending, yada yada yada, but I'm like, I don't know. I feel like right there, then and there, they should have just cut it off, and it would have been good because she was the actress. I think her name Moses Ingram, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole series, she played her so well that it was like I hate this character, and that was the whole point. But then, if you watch the whole thing, of course, you see that it's like she kind of had like this really sad story and all that, and then you start feeling bad for her and everything. But like, I feel like they didn't have to do that. They could have just ended it right there, and then we could have gotten the Vader doing, all right, forget this, I'm gonna go do it myself. I felt like they could have done it a little earlier, but yeah, just because Obi Wan and Anakin have that connection throughout the whole thing from episodes 1, 2, 3, and then in A New Hope. So I feel like they could have just had Vader do more of their F it, I'm gonna do it myself type of thing. But that's one of the things I would change. And it's funny when you had sent me the video of the rescore, I was like, what? I mean, as much as I love it, as much as I love what they did, I'm like, the rescore kind of makes me wish they did it a little different, because like if they had just used like some of the old stuff, like it would have just been perfect. I don't know.
That much better, yeah.
Yeah, and like don't get me wrong, it was really good, but seeing it in that version, it just makes you wonder. It's like, man, they could have gone a slightly different direction here, and it would have been like even better than what it was.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
And I guess I told you this the one time we were talking about, I guess it was like after episode 4 or something, or just, I know we got a flashback and I'm very happy about that. But like when they were in the tank and they were just showing both of them, it was switching off from Obi Wan to Anakin, just switching all that. I wish we'd just gotten one, like even if it was like 2 minutes, just something, like some memory of them both together, because it seemed like they were both feeling each other through the Force in that moment. It would have just been pretty cool. But otherwise, I think they did a really good job overall.
Yeah, no, I totally agree that I feel like that back to tank scene could have lended itself to a flashback or something like that.
Like
but yeah, right, exactly like Boba Fett.
Book of Mando, depending what you want to call it.
Yeah, Book of Mando 2.0. So last question, quick answer. Season 2, yes, no. There have been rumors. Reva spinoff, yes, no. Darth Vader spinoff, yes, no.
I don't want a season 2. They said it was supposed to be a special event, so I'd rather it just end the way it did, because I think it ended perfect. Where Obi-Wan and Leia have their little moment, which I thought was perfect. Also, that was one thing I loved in the show. Getting to see Obi-Wan be like very happy again and be like himself. And then we got the hello there. So I think we were good. And then seeing Qui-Gon at the end, like I think we're good with that. Reva, no, I don't need another story. And Vader, as much as I love having Vader on live screen, I don't think it is necessary. I feel like there's so much of Star Wars that they can just open up on, whether it be live action or animated, that I feel, or the anime style, that they could just focus on that stuff, because the galaxy, there's so much that you could focus on, and it doesn't have to stick with like the characters that we already know. You know what I mean? Like we got enough of it. Like I think we got enough of Obi-Wan here. We're good. I think we even got enough of Vader in that, and we're good. And Reva, I mean, as good of a character as she was, I don't think we need to expand on that. Like I said, there's plenty of other characters we can expand on.
Absolutely. Well, B-Figs, thank you so much for coming on again. Hope you enjoyed being on the show. I know I love having, the biggest fans on the shows, because you guys deserve it. So appreciate the support, and thanks for giving your opinion on Obi-Wan.
Thanks for having me on, man.
All right. Hi, Jen. So let's get that opinion on the Obi-Wan show. What did you think overall? That's a good start.
It was a bit mid for me, honestly. I mean, the highs were high, but the lows were low. I felt like it pulled a lot of punches, which I've heard pitter patter about there being a darker, grittier, like more Rogue One-esque version of this show that Disney said no, that they wanted to gear it more towards children. I mean, there's a difference between gearing towards children and just being dumb. Like I would watch the show and just be perplexed at some of the choices and some of the very TV level effects and stuff. My biggest complaints with that were obviously anytime Leia's running, apparently she's mastered force speed because no one can catch her. The cloak thing, I know some people are split on that. I personally think it's very Scooby-Doo.
The trench coat getaway.
There's a scene at the very end where Leia's like, her hair's already up and she like goes to comb it, so she just ends up tapping her head with a comb. It feels very thrown together at points, and I was just like, okay, you're not acting like this is a multi-million-dollar Star Wars show. Interesting choice. And then obviously the bail message.
Yeah. A lot of conveniences, and as a screenwriter, as a writer by trade, I mean, that's your bread and butter. So when people excuse it, it only makes you more upset, 'cause you're like, how can you excuse something like this?
Yeah, it's just like, how did that get off the writing room floor? Like, how did a room full of writers say, you know what, that's honestly the best way we can do this? It just felt like either they have a very big disconnect on the level of intelligence of the audience. They like, well, we don't want to assume they don't know enough, but we also don't want to assume they know too. Like, it just felt like they don't really understand the fan base, as far as you have casual Star Wars fans, but they're not like, it's still good. You still have to tell a good story. So yeah, I hate just being like the classic making characters dumber to make the screenwriter's job easier. I hate exposition when it can be done through character. And I hate when you have so much emotional weight in the blueprint of Star Wars. You have so much to work with. And I just felt like they just went for the easy answer, the easy solution. It doesn't really feel like they wanted to solve any problems. They just wanted to get from point A to point B. And I mean, the point B being that confrontation between Obi Wan and Anakin on the planet. So I felt like that was a great moment. I felt like that battle was what they were trying to get to, but that was 10 minutes in a 6-hour series. You have to make the whole process good. So it had its moments, but there was just way too many things that didn't level up, that by the time we got to those big moments, I was already very disillusioned. I was like, all right, cool. Like, I'm glad I did this.
Yeah, it's tough to see the budget of $20 million per episode and then it not live up to shows that have much lower budgets that look 10 times better or more exciting or more shot more interestingly. That was tough. And Jen will be participating in the Obi Wan show rewrite that we are putting together. So you will hear plenty more of her thoughts and plenty more of what she would do to change the show in that. So look out for that. But Jen, thank you so much for giving your opinion today.
Thank you for having it.
Of course. All right. Hello, Kyle. Let's hear your take on the Obi Wan series. What do you think of it overall?
First, I want to be recognized as a recurring guest.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Mr. Kyle Henderson, roll out the red carpet. Recurring guest coming from the critically acclaimed Scores of Star Wars episode for Mark of Balance is returning to talk about Obi Wan Kenobi. Is that good?
Hell
is that
yeah.
better?
Yes, thank you for the introduction, Mark.
No problem.
Let's see, Kenobi. I went through like a roller coaster of thoughts on the show as episodes aired and as we watched every week. But I will say by the end, after the finale, I can confidently say that I really enjoyed it. I think looking back on it, that it gave me everything that I went into this show looking for. Maybe it didn't give me as much as I hoped they would give, but they didn't have anything that was like very obviously missing for me. There are a couple good things that I really liked about the show, and a couple things that I might necessarily change if I could, but I guess I'll get into that. I'll start with the bad.
Okay.
I'll end with the good.
Good.
Or not even necessarily bad, but just things that I would change. The first one being the way that they handled Riva as a character. I thought the actor did a really good job, and the complexity of the character was there. Like there was a foundation for something. But as you mentioned, there are rumors going around about this potential spinoff for her character. And it kind of, especially towards the end of the series, became pretty obvious to me that they were forcing scenes with Riva in to set up for this potential spinoff. And like I said, like the character was good, the acting was good, but it seemed like Disney tried to force some scenes in there to set up for the future instead of like giving the character a good arc within the show itself. There were a couple like very minor things that I picked apart. Like there were a couple times that like Vader kind of acted out of character. Like from what I understand, I haven't read many books, but I do know that, you know, anytime Vader had his actual identity as Anakin Skywalker revealed to anybody, that he killed them immediately. Yeah. So for him to have apparently known that Riva knew who he was and just kind of let her run around is kind of out of character. Seemed weird to me. Yeah. But that's just like a nitpicky thing. I think they might have underutilized Hayden Christensen a little bit. I thought the flashbacks were really, really cool that we got in that 5th episode. And I feel like they could have done at least a little bit of that in every episode. Yeah. Just kind of like hone in on Obi Wan, like reminiscing on their past. But that's about where the things that I would change end. I actually really enjoyed most of it. Yeah. I have 2 things that come to mind immediately that I really, really liked about the show. The first one being watching Obi Wan go from this depressed, broken, basically like a hermit living in a cave on Tatooine, to kind of like rediscovering this idea of hope for the future. And obviously he does that through Leia as the show progresses. But if you just think of like how he appears in like the first couple episodes, you can tell like the first time he sees Vader, he is not in touch with the Force at all. He's struggling. He doesn't stand a chance in that first fight until the very last fight, where you see him completely reconnect to all of his experiences, and it almost goes beyond any point that we've seen him before. For sure. So that was really, really cool to see. And you see him end the series with a much more hopeful attitude for the future. The other thing that I really, really liked was Vader. Most of Vader. And, I said, I mentioned earlier that like sometimes he seemed to act like a little bit out of character, but like to me, when I see Vader pissed off, that's like one of the coolest things that Star Wars can do. It gets me going every time. So especially in that finale episode, you see Vader confront Obi-Wan for that last time, and he's pissed, and you can hear it in like he's kind of growling and yelling, and obviously we see him at this insane level of power that we haven't really seen him before. Thinking of like episode 5 when he literally yanks an entire starship out of the sky, like like Star Killer from Force Unleashed style. For real. And he, like ripping the doors off and everything. Like I really enjoy seeing like Vader's strength shown like to that level. But that's kind of where I leave my thoughts on the show. I really did enjoy it overall.
But you did leave out the score being underwhelming to a degree, you think? Unless you didn't. No,
I remember like watching the finale and those scenes in that last fight and actually thinking like this is the first time I'm actually like noticing the score here.
Yeah.
So I didn't hate what they did with the music,
Mhm.
at least for that part. But like you said, we see that video of the recreation with the Revenge of the Sith soundtrack, and you know how much I love the Revenge of the Sith score.
Yeah.
It just could have been that much better.
Yeah, I didn't need a copy paste of the whole thing, but just those themes, just those motifs, maybe just sprinkled in there, a little Battle of the Fates horn or Duel of the Fates, little Battle of the Heroes horn, maybe the immolation scene, just little bits of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, especially like if you're gonna bring back like Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, why not?
Mm.
You know, tap into the viewer's emotions, because we know like how much the music plays a part in like what you're feeling watching these kind of things. So yeah, they definitely could have done something there that would have made that scene that much better.
For sure. All right, so I'll leave it with one last question. Season 2, yes, no. Any other spinoff from the show, Reva Vader? Yes, no.
No,
No to
Leave
all
it.
of it.
leave it.
All right.
I've had enough.
Got
I think they left it in a really good place.
Yes.
Especially with like, you can almost pick up with A New Hope at the very end of this series, or if you want to watch Rogue One before that, it kind of seamlessly meshes together. I really think they'd be pushing it if they went any further.
Definitely. I agree. All right, Kyle, thank you so much. Happy to have you on once again as a super reoccurring guest now.
I'm giving Jen a run for her money.
I know. Jen's got a healthy lead. Troy's doing well too, but you definitely got a couple solo episodes, and now this one for sure.
I am looking forward to hearing about the rewrites that you and Jen did. I imagine they're going to be really cool.
I am excited. I don't want to give anything away, but I am very excited for people to hear it. It's good. It's really
Can't
good.
wait.
All right, Kyle. Thank you so much.
Happy to be here.
All right, so for another overall thoughts for the Kenobi series, I have Chris Favilla on right now. He DM me every week about each episode and asked me what I thought about it, so it was only right that I brought him on to give his opinion on the show. Say hello to everyone, Chris.
How we doing, guys?
Yeah, so what did you think of the show overall?
Wow, okay, so overall, I would probably, it's very ambivalent, but I mean, overall, I would say it fulfilled my expectations, generally speaking. I mean, all the Vader content, there was one incident we can discuss, the Star Destroyer incident, I'm calling it. That's the one issue I have with Vader's character throughout the series. That, I guess, the Reva thing, not finishing off Reva in terms of a more proper character arc.
Yeah.
But besides that, I think really good show overall in terms of just like really underscoring the prequel era between Kenobi and Vader. I loved like episode 5, where the flashbacks were more than flashbacks. They were providing us further development of Kenobi and Vader at the same time, in the same instance, in different ways. So I was a big fan of that. I just wish certain factors of it, like let's say at the beginning, I think they underutilized the Inquisitors, especially Fifth Brother, and more importantly, the Grand Inquisitor. A great character in Rebels. Not a huge Rebels fan, but so Rebels had a lot of cool plot lines featuring the Grand Inquisitor. And I think like the actor they chose, Rupert something, I forget his last name, great actor. I think he portrayed the character pretty well. I just think it's a travesty he was underutilized because
it was almost like it was almost like they brought him in just to say like, look, we have the Grand Inquisitor, because he didn't really do much. Like he was just a force for Reva to overcome. But
exactly.
The best moment of it was when he came back and he's like, hello, as Reva's like dying.
Hello, third sister. I was all about that. Like Vader, Grand Inquisitor being Vader's trolling buddy, definitely gave me a giggle. But I think it's out of Vader's character to let her go. I've read a little bit into it as like he understood who she was, and it was more of a painful consequence versus death, having her live with all that stuff. But to me, Vader was snapping necks and choking his officers for the slightest infractions. This is not a man who's very forgiving in this era. And even then, during that period, he was starting to wrestle with his son, and which is the final catalyst to bring him back. So
if anything, he was
crazy.
If anything, he was softer. He was softer in the original trilogy, and he was snapping necks.
Exactly right. So this is bloodthirsty, no remorse Vader. And for him to let third sister go after trying to kill him and also nearly killing the Grand Inquisitor, I think letting her off with her lightsaber still by her side is just not in his character, nor the Grand Inquisitor's character. He would have killed her too if it was Rebels.
Yeah.
CGI, you know? So
I
I
feel
just
that.
think there was some few issues there, you know?
Mhm.
And like, I was not a fan of the Luke plot line in the final episode. That
Mhm.
just, to me, felt like an attack on canon. It felt like having a war going on inside of the Owen residence. Like, first things first, let's just be real here. Reva is a trained Inquisitor in the dark side. It would be like a 10-second show in
Mhm.
reality of what she could do to Owen and, I always forget the aunt's name. But
Guru, yeah.
it would be, yes, that would be that. But I guess the critic would say, no, she didn't want to really kill them. She was, wrestling with her own conflict. I get that.
She
I
had the
just think
hole in her
generally it was-
chest, yeah.
Yeah, to me, it was like,
No, I feel
the
that.
Vader, I love
was
that final.
Mhm.
Favorite scene of the show was the Vader and Obi-Wan conversation with the mask off, the
Yeah.
mask half off. That was great. Like
Mhm.
the Vader voice being intertwined at times with Obi-Wan. I'm sorry, with Anakin's voice was
Mhm.
great. That was awesome. Like, I'm what remains, and you hear the Vader voice a little bit. Like that hit that
Yeah.
like hit you in your feels. And then he said Master when he was
Mhm,
looking down at Obi-Wan in that little grave. Like they did a lot of good things. Episode 3 demonstrating Vader's aggression and
Mhm.
the dark side taking hold of him like that. And a lot of fans critiqued it, saying, "Oh, the end he let him go. The fire got in his way." Like, no, he let him go. Like that just demonstrating, despite how cold-blooded and evil he's become, he's still in the presence of old friends and those close to him. Anakin kind of reemerges a little bit, and the fact
Yeah.
he let him go demonstrates that despite how corrupt he's become, Anakin's still in there somewhere.
Yeah, I thought that
really
was a very interesting choice at the end. I think when I initially watched it, I didn't like it that, there was a wall of flames and then there was a little hill. It's like, yeah, Vader, you could just go around and get him. But yeah, I did. The way they shot him, it seemed like he was very contemplative in that moment. Like, did that feel as
Staring.
good as I thought it would be? Like, kind of thing.
Exactly right. Like he's
Yeah.
regretting the action of hurting him. And then you see in the next episode, in the beginning, he's kind of getting tormented in the tank too.
Mhm.
Obi-Wan's struggling, so is Vader. But then
Yeah.
one could argue like it's also him being angry, but it's probably both. He's remorseful, but the Vader personality is dominating him, so he's angry still too. It's just this constant like churning conflict in him. That's like the big part of the character. But it's not until Luke where that Anakin starts to be the majority personality again versus the Vader.
Definitely.
And-
Yeah, no, I think you bring up a lot of good points, a lot of critiques that people had. And just the last little quick answer I want from you. Would you be okay with a season 2 or some continuation of Reva or Vader spinoff?
I would want a Vader spinoff. I
Okay.
think Obi-Wan should be finished, the show.
Okay.
I love McGregor. I'm a huge Obi-Wan fan for sure. But I think there's more potential in a Vader show. I think right after episode 3, like weeks after episode 3, still having clones around. Everyone loves live action clones. So you can still have the live action clones before the TKs are brought in, Stormtroopers for those, not as chronic fans. But
Yeah.
seeing the Inquisitors in action, that's another big part. Like, yes, they underutilized Grand Inquisitor, Fifth Brother. I just think generally they underused the Inquisitors. They could have had, I think the first episode, they could have shown a different planet, not Tatooine, random planet with a cross assortment of species, Inquisitors rolling up, a similar scene. Like, I like that first opener. It's like, you ever seen Glorious Bastards?
Yeah.
So that opening scene with the SS Landa grilling that farmer, kind of talking about the Jews. That's like what they kind of did there. The Inquisitor coming in, grilling the owner, discussing the Jedi. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I think that him escaping, like the Jedi escaping, and like the Fifth Brother is walking after him. Like it also felt under budgeted. Like the show felt at times like the Stormtrooper battle in the episode 5. It just felt at times a little bit poorly choreographed when it comes to the gun battles.
Yeah.
I just feel the sets in general did not feel like, even Mandalorian felt like a larger budget than
Definitely.
this. Boba Fett,
Definitely.
it gave me Boba Fett vibes. Like the finale of Boba Fett underscored the low budget. Same with a lot of these scenes in Obi-Wan. It just felt like they were not maximizing their resources
Yeah.
to produce the best thing possible. With the hype Obi-Wan had, they should have realized more funding is good.
For sure.
Larger sets, grander schemes, like the prequels. George Lucas was working with, newly minted green and blue screens and made it look great. Disney is an empire.
Yeah,
compared to what
right.
Lucas had. And
No,
they
you're
couldn't
right.
create larger sets I don't know. You know, that's
No, you're definitely right. You're definitely right. It had a lower budget feel than it should have for this big of a moment in Star Wars. I definitely feel that, and I agree. I think a lot of people would agree. But great, thank you so much, Chris. I hope you enjoyed coming on and give your thoughts.
It was awesome. You know, anytime I can discuss Star Wars with a like-minded individual,
Yes.
it's always a fun time. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we'll get you a Star Wars Story interview very soon when you're all
Look
settled.
forward to it.
All right, hello, Jimmy Belton. Thank you for coming back on Star Wars Mark of Balance. I'm excited to hear your take on the Kenobi show.
Hey, Mark, thanks for having me on again. It's great to be here. It's great to be talking Star Wars with you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the Kenobi show, I loved it. I loved every episode, even though it was a little bit shorter than I would have liked it to be. I loved it. Just the way that the plot flowed, that some of the characters that they introduced, it was just an incredible experience.
That's awesome. So what were you expecting? Did you want like a 10-episode show? Did you more want that? I know there was some rumors that it was like a 3-film trilogy it was supposed to be. What were you hoping for instead of the 6 episodes?
I was kind of feeling like a 10 episode. I thought they could have dived in a little bit deeper into certain characters and certain kind of themes that they were trying to portray. I think some of it felt a little bit rushed, but I think for what they have and what they did, I think it was pretty well executed.
Gotcha. And since you love most of it, what were some of those favorite parts for you? Which ones stuck out to you?
Definitely spoilers, but one of my favorite parts was definitely the last episode.
Yeah.
Kind of when Obi Wan and Anakin are fighting for that last time, and Anakin traps Obi Wan under the rocks, and Obi Wan finally like rekindles that Force power and kind of reawakens it after so long, and then he just really shows what he's capable of. And it was kind of like a bittersweet thing too, like when he was talking with Anakin while they were fighting, and you see half of Anakin's face and then half of Darth Vader's mask, and he's just like, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did. And that just kind of like, I don't know, it just hit different.
It did. It was such an interesting line. I think they handled that whole scene very well. But yeah, kind of absolving Obi-Wan of any wrongdoing. Like, I made this choice. This is my mistake. It was really cool. And what did you think of Reva's character overall?
I thought the character development on her side was phenomenal. You know, you have this angsty like Sith Inquisitor when you start, but then it really shows her inner conflict throughout the entire show, because like she's on this hunt for revenge, and that's kind of why she turned to the Sith. But then you see like she doesn't want to become the same monster that she witnessed Anakin become. Right. Especially at the end there when she goes to try and kill Luke, and she just can't do it.
Yeah.
And that kind of shows because, you know, as a Jedi youngling that witnessed Order 66, she saw how horrible it was. She saw all her friends die, and she was just like, I can't do this, because that good side of the Force was still lingering in there.
Right. Yeah, it was very Star Wars moment, like, don't become what you set out to destroy, kind of like Luke at the end of Return of the Jedi, like he's about to kill Darth Vader, and he's like, wait a minute, I'm the same as him, like we both have these mechanical hands. Yeah. Right. No, yeah, her like overall story arc was really cool and like unique, and I really liked the ideas that they had overall. For me, the execution wasn't great, but I did love all the ideas that they pulled together for her. Was there anything that you would change about the show, or was there anything that you didn't get to see that maybe you were expecting with a show like this in the prequel era with Hayden and Ewan coming back as their characters?
I really enjoyed, especially like some of the flashbacks they did to Anakin and Obi-Wan battling, and I thought that was awesome. That was a battle that we had never seen before. And even to see like the age in both of them, they didn't do too much in terms of like trying to make them look younger. They just kind of left it as it was, and I thought that was incredible. I would have liked to personally see a little bit more of Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah,
but you know, I think the way that they introduced him at the end was pretty perfect.
Yeah, I really loved what Liam Neeson did with that. He sounded great being back in the Qui-Gon Jinn role. It was awesome.
Right, for the first time after 20 years, too.
I know, he slipped right back in. These guys are incredible. Hayden, Ewan, and now Liam Neeson. Just incredible.
Yeah.
So I've been ending these interviews with a question, because there's been a lot of rumors and there's a lot of talks out there. But, you know, would you be open, yes or no, to a season 2 of Obi-Wan, a Reva spinoff, or a Darth Vader spinoff. I feel like all three of those I've seen either rumors or like a lot of fan support for them. So just wanted to get your idea on those.
Yeah, so I'll touch on those kind of in order. So,
Sure.
Season 2 of Obi-Wan, I am never opposed to more Star Wars, so
Right.
I would take it. I had a talk with my brother about the same thing, and I was kind of like, we were kind of pondering. I don't really know what direction they would take that in, aside from just him training more with Qui-Gon. Maybe throw the Inquisitors in there a little bit more, but I think it would be interesting to see what they could do with that. As for a Reva spinoff, I think that would be pretty cool to see. I don't know too much about like her character development past the end of this, so I don't know what they could do. It's kind of an open book, you know. They could make however they want to. But I think it would be really cool, you know, seeing that character development and kind of the vibes I was getting, especially towards that last episode was. I like to relate it back to there's the episode of Star Wars Visions with the Jedi, the lightsaber crafter, and when he made the lightsabers for all those Jedis and they end up turning out to be Siths. There's the one whose lightsaber turned from red to purple, like in the middle of the fight. That's kind of what I got vibes from her, especially towards the end, because she was still like kind of using that revenge and that hatred, but then like the light side started to kind of overcome that. So I think that would be kind of cool. But as for Darth Vader, Darth Vader, I mean, he's one of the most interesting characters in the show and in the movies and lore and everything. So kind of show what he does from the time he becomes Darth Vader to like the start of like the original trilogy would be really cool.
Definitely.
Because I mean, you've kind of got like little tidbits and stuff from like Rogue One and from Kenobi and kind of see like some of like that transition, but there's just that large time gap between like Luke and Leia growing up and him building the Death Star with Emperor Palpatine versus like when Palpatine picks him up off of Mustafar.
Yeah, that relationship would be really cool to explore. But yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for coming on, Jimmy. I hope you had a fun time and hope you were able to, you know, get all your thoughts out about Obi-Wan. I really wanted to give you guys a platform to talk Star Wars.
Yeah, it was great. I always love talking Star Wars with you and just listening to other people's point of views, especially on some of the newer stuff that's been coming out. So it's been a blast. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah, no problem, man. See you later. All right, so hello, Ashley. Thank you for coming on to give your opinion on Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think we talked after episode maybe 3 or 4, and you were kind of on the fence about it, but I'm excited to hear about your thoughts on the whole series. So go ahead, floor's yours.
Okay, so at first, I was really confused. I thought it was a lot of just like Leia and like Obi-Wan back and forth. Kind of felt like a sitcom a little bit at some points. And I really was just a little bit confused for a lot of it. So I was like, I thought really it would be more like Luke would be like the center because that's who he was meant to watch over the whole time. So it's just like a lot of like, all right, like what are we doing here? Like she's getting taken, then she's like they get her, and then now she's taken again. It was like back and forth, and it was kind of like tiring for like a little bit. And also, third sister, like, that was like. Her thought process was like really confusing. We got to episode, I think it was right before the last one, me and my dad were watching, and it was just like, we're like, what is she doing? Like she, like Darth Vader had just like beat her up, essentially. And then she she makes the connections, whatever. And we thought maybe she just had like a flip, like immediately, like, okay, yeah, like I'm done with this. Like, let me revert back to what I was supposed to be. Like, and then the last episode we were like, what is she doing? Like it was really confusing, like what her intentions were, like what is going on. And then like by the last episode with her, we were just, I was like, what is, like when she goes over and she like falls to the floor, I'm like, what are you, like, what? And then my dad was like, is there gonna be like another like series? And I said, I don't think there's gonna be another season. Like I wouldn't, like the way that they ended it was perfect. You don't need another season, because if you add another season, there's gonna be like so many different plot holes that are gonna be created, because already the plot hole with like Leia knowing him now at 10 years old, and then like years from then she sends a message and she like has to introduce herself through R2. She's like, "Oh, you served my father in the Clone Wars." Like, why are you introducing yourself? If you knew this man at one point,
Yeah.
and then, and it's not like this was when she was 5. She's 10, so she could form memories. So that's like a big thing that I'm like, how did that happen? Like, why does she not remember who he is? So I feel like if they did another season, like what would they even do? And then like why would they, like, do you know what I mean? Like,
No, yeah, definitely. It would only be, it would have to keep Obi-Wan on Tatooine just training with Qui-Gon, and I don't know if you could stretch out like 6 episodes of just that. It would be very like slice of life, like here we're doing this training today, here we're doing this training today. Yeah, it would be interesting. And what you said about Reva, like, yeah, like the bridge that she was able to build and be like, oh, okay, this recording is talking about Anakin's son on Tatooine. Like, I don't know how she connected those dots and said, this is how I'm gonna get revenge.
yeah, and it's like, how did you figure that out? Like, and then the whole thing with like Anakin came so close to seeing Leia all these times, and also like how, like when him and Obi-Wan were battling, how did he not pick up on that? Like, because they can sense things that are happening, they can pick things up. He could read what's going on in his head. How could he not? Like,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute. Like, who's this girl that he's thinking about? Who's this little girl? Like, how did that not happen? How did he not pick up on Reva going after Luke? Like, how did he not?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, and the whole point of them getting him was they kidnapped Leia. Like, did Darth Vader not know about that? Like, what?
Yeah, yeah. He just always missed her. Like he was just always just not in the same room, but very close to being in the same room.
Yeah.
So what were some of your favorite parts of the show?
Well,
aside from some of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way they ended it. The last episode was my favorite one. I like the scene where when he splits Anakin's mask and then you see him and like the voice keeps going in and out. That was like a powerful thing. It was really I don't know, we were getting emotional watching it. And that was I loved that. I thought that was a really like powerful scene, especially when he could apologize to him, which that was like, I was like crying. And then I just liked the ending too, because like it was very like, oh, okay, like he is gonna go train with him and help him out, and I thought it was cute. I liked the ending a lot. The last episode was the best.
Yeah, they put Obi-Wan in like a good spot at the end. Like he was, we got him to see him laugh. We got to see him see Qui-Gon again. Like he was in a much better spot than when we found him, which I really appreciated that arc for him.
Yeah, because the first 2-3 episodes, I was just, I think you said, like, I was very like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how I felt about it, but they really like brought it back in the end, which felt good. So.
Yeah. I was the same way. So I think you already answered this question, but I've been asking everyone. There have been a lot of rumors about a season 2, about a Reva spinoff, about a Darth Vader spinoff. Do any of those sound appealing to you? I see season 2 as a no. Reva, you didn't seem like a big fan of.
I mean, like she's, as a character, she's very like contradictory of like who she is. Like I don't even think I'd be interested in watching the show just because like, I don't know. Like there wasn't enough in this season that built her up to be a character that I would want to follow.
Right.
Like, I didn't care. She just seemed like an angry girl the whole time. Like she was upset the entire time. That was it. Like she never really you didn't really get an insight in until like one of the last episodes where you kind of saw what happened to her, and it was just like, I don't really care at that point. It's like, let her go off on her own and figure out what she's gonna do, like whatever. And then in regards to like a Darth Vader show, I mean, like they could do a lot with that, and I love Hayden Christensen, so love him, and he's great, but like I don't know if that would be like too much, because they're starting to put so many different seasons out and shows out that there are so many plot holes now that it's like, how are you going to cover all those plot holes you just created, Yeah,
it's very saturated. So yeah, I just wanted to ask because there's so many rumors all the time now about old scripts and stuff like that. So yeah, but thank you for coming on, Ashley. I really like the crew neck, the Tatooine crew neck. That's perfect. That's perfect. Outer rim, I love that. And we'll definitely have you on for a Star Wars Story interview in the coming weeks, so people can look forward to that. But again, thank you for coming on and giving your opinion on Obi Wan.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
All right, hello everyone, and we got Jake Nash here to give his thoughts on the Obi Wan Kenobi show. Jake is a reoccurring guest now. Congratulations, you've made it to the rafters.
I'm blessed to be back, bro. You know, I had such a blast the first time, and
Yeah,
you know, I go back and I obviously I listen, you know, weekly, but I go back and you know that our episode is a very special place in my heart. So
I'm so happy I could give that to you. And yeah, isn't it fun to listen back to yourself sometimes?
you know, I never thought I hated the sound of my voice so much, and
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing this for a living. And just when I talk to people who have podcasts, I'm like, dude, it's just like as a person who hates the sound of my own voice, it's just when I go back and listen, I'm like, I shouldn't have said that, or that was funny, or that should have got a bigger laugh or something like that. But
It just comes with the territory. You get used to it. But
I'm sure by this you've been doing it for like a year now, so I'm sure you're used to it now. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy. But you got the hello there shirt behind you. So what were your thoughts overall on the Kenobi series?
Pleased, happy. You know, like I said when we talked before, I was like, I'm just gonna take it for how it is, and I just wanna. I'm gonna enjoy it, and however it comes out. So you know, it's crazy. I just finished episode 6 like an hour ago, and I'm kind of just like reflecting, and like I have my notes here on like every episode. I'm just like,
Love it.
I'm just like, oh man, this is watching it through the second time. It was way better than I remembered it. You know, I think kind of as the show comes out, everyone's like, oh, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. I'm just like, yo, relax, watch it through again. And I picked up on a lot of stuff that I missed too, because the opening scene of Order 66, I thought the girl that was like slain was Reva the entire time, and I was like, oh no, that's not her. She's one of the kids that got saved. It's not her. But
yeah, there's a little foreshadowing.
Yeah, no, I loved what they did with every episode mattered, if that makes sense. There was no there was no BS. Everything, like, they kept it short and concise, and that's what I loved about it. They could have dragged this on for 9-10 episodes, but
yeah,
I think 6 was solid.
I think so too. So what were some of your favorite parts?
A lot of stuff with, you know, the watch through, I hated Leia. You know, I just think I'm not gonna lie, kids annoy me.
Yeah,
But I was like, oh, kids are supposed to be annoying. Like,
yeah,
she's a child, she's learning. So like, I grew to love Leia, and I like how they made I thought they were gonna go in and make Luke a focus through this show, but they made Leia a focus, and they really emphasized the point that she's just as important as Luke in the story, and
yeah.
I really think that was like a really good like topic that they touched on, and she was just, and the little girl that portrayed her was good, and
She killed it. Yeah.
yeah, she did a really good job. And you know, obviously Ewan did a great job as Obi Wan. I didn't really expect anything less from him. You know,
Yeah, of course.
you know, they tugged the heartstrings, and they did a good job. But I think where's mine? I wrote it all down. Episode 5 is probably the best episode, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I just
a lot of great moments in that episode.
I like the constant chase in that episode. I feel like, you know, them opening with the flashback with Anakin and Obi Wan, and how they tie it into the plot of the episode. I think we talked about that in not too long ago. I think that was me and you. We were like,
yeah.
The flashbacks just kind of tying into the plot was really kind of important, and like the lessons that Anakin and Obi-Wan were learning through the battle they had. And I'm pretty sure that battle took place before Clone Wars happened. Anakin still had the paddle on the tail and everything, so I figured that was kind of early in his teaching. Yeah. So, and now how Anakin and Obi-Wan have evolved, and we got Prime Vader in that episode too, with the whole him kind of pulling the ship down and pulling it out. And
Crazy.
I saw that for the first time, and I had to pause the show. I was like, that didn't just happen. And I rewound it. I'm like, oh, that did happen. That was insane.
Yeah, Disney did Vader right.
They really did, man. I'm really happy, like, because obviously we knew like Obi-Wan was gonna grow and learn, but they didn't. They final formed Vader pretty well. They made him one of the strongest. They made him the strongest Jedi to ever live. Or Sith
from what we've seen.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you would change about the show, or did it kind of do everything for you?
I kind of haven't watched it. I've watched it 2.5 times through already, so I'm not like there's nothing I'm really like anal about. Obviously, I would have like I'm not like this and this and this and this.
Yep.
I'm just like okay. I mean I expected more kind of like flashbacks, but I was like you know what they did the flashbacks and bringing everyone in at the right time because it went along with the plot a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were gonna use. I didn't want them to utilize Luke. I thought making Luke at like a young kid and kind of making him like a centerpiece would have kind of taken away from the fact that Obi Wan had to grow. And I think him growing with Leia is better for Obi Wan's arc than him growing with Luke.
And Leia's already been, or Luke's already been the main focus of a trilogy, so it's good that Leia gets her time.
Exactly too, and I think having like a kid Leia and like I think it's the fact that when we meet Leia in A New Hope, she's already a senator and she's already like this like fierce leader and like revered in the galaxy. So I think she kind of had to learn young, and Luke kind of had to grow into the person he became.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And yeah, so the final piece of this, season 2, are you in or out? Reva spinoff, are you in or out? Darth Vader spinoff, are you in or out?
I'm for like a Vader series.
Okay.
That'd be so insane, just having Hayden back in the role and everything. And that's what I loved about like episode 6, recreating that Rebel scene because you know, I think it was Ahsoka that hit his mask in Rebels. If I remember, I haven't watched Rebels in a minute. I'm probably gonna watch that next.
Yeah.
But him splitting the mask and just you know him going back between his voice and James Earl Jones's voice.
Yeah.
I was like, my lord. But that was I think a Hayden spinoff, and I'm not sure what they would do for season 2. I guess it'd be more kind of him. They'd have to incorporate Liam Neeson more in season 2 if they're gonna.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I only bring it up because I've heard rumors, and I just wanted to gauge what the Star Wars Mark of Balance community wants and what they think of it. But
yeah, no, I'm for season 2. I don't feel like it's necessary. I think where we left off now is good. I'm not sure what they can do in an 8-year in a time. They're gonna have to age him a lot if they're gonna do it. So
I agree. All right, Jake. Well, thank you so much for giving your opinion. Happy to have you back on.
Mark, thanks for having me, bro. I would do this anytime, bro. Hit me up whenever.
Of course. Happy to do it. Well, thank you, Jake. All right, so hello, everyone. We got the Roundtable discussion group from last time. We got Troy, Kevin, and Pat in the building to give their thoughts on Kenobi as a series overall. Troy, floor's yours. What'd you think of it overall?
Well, overall, I thought the series gave us exactly what we needed, in my opinion at least. It kind of gave us that filling in the blank of between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. It was nice to see that Obi Wan didn't just kind of hang out on Tatooine the whole time, and he wasn't able to speak with Qui-Gon right away. So I enjoyed that. Yeah. I mean, I thought the series did what it needed to do. If I could change a couple things, I think I would have just had Reva killed off. Not because I didn't like the character. I just felt that her arc came full circle. Like she did what she did what she needed to do. She got her redemption. Should have just left it at that. Now she knows the biggest secret in the galaxy.
Seriously.
So
two of the biggest secrets.
Yeah.
She knows Anakin and Luke.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy, but and I like the subtle, the little nod with Palpatine at the end there. That was great. Be like, hey, just so you know, dude, like you're replaceable. Don't get a big head.
Yeah. Favorite parts?
I mean, it had to be, I thought the 2 duels with Vader and Obi-Wan were some of the best. I liked that, he kind of, Vader wanted Obi-Wan to suffer. I think that's kind of, what made him let him get away the first time. He didn't want to just kill him. He wanted him to feel the same pain that he felt a little while ago. So I thought those were good. I mean, you saw the Battle of the Heroes. If we could have put that
the rescore,
like we could put that rescore in there, that would have been crazy. But I thought it was good, and we had talked about the dialogue and stuff like that in the last battle. But I thought it worked perfectly. The more I watch it, the more I actually enjoy that dialogue at the end. But I think it leaves us in a good spot for a New Hope. A New Hope. I hope they don't try to fill in more of that blank.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just I enjoyed it overall. I was very fond of it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Pat, how about you, kid?
Yeah. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It had its slow points. I think it may have been episode 4 or something when Obi-Wan rescued Leia from that base. It's just the episode honestly felt like a waste. It was almost like 45 minutes of not really anything. But overall, yes, I thought it was a very good show. I've told my brother worth a watch. So yeah.
Favorite parts?
As a whole, favorite part was Vader.
Yeah.
I was waiting a long time for that. As has Kevin. I know he'll say the same. He was powerful, brutal, and the duel was great at the end. But I think my favorite part was when he stopped the ship with the Force.
Yeah.
And he was ripping the doors off. That got me like excited. That was sick. That was awesome.
And anything you would change about the series?
I think Troy makes a good point. I think Riva should have died. But to her credit, she started off a little annoying, and then I thought she was great. I think the being a youngling thing was really good, and I think she kind of just settled into the role. But I would change that, and I think try to get rid of those like low points. You only have 6 episodes to tell this big story. While I'm waiting for, get to the meat and bones. Meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes.
Hey.
I don't know. You're Irish, right?
We'll get to all of them. Yeah, that's my thoughts. Overall, I really liked it, and it was great to see Ewan and Christian back in their roles. It made me happy.
Hayden Christensen.
I'm sorry, you're right, Hayden. That's a rookie move there.
Gonna have to cut all of this.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Oh, and the voice mash.
Oh, with James Earl Jones. Yeah,
that was tight, dude.
That was really sweet.
Yeah.
Hayden killed that.
Yeah.
Kevin, how about you, kid?
I mean, I'm in the same boat too. I thought it was phenomenal.
Wow, phenomenal.
What do you want? I'm not gonna sit here and say it was bad.
It's your opinion. I'm just letting you ride. That's all you got for me. Favorite parts.
You can cut this out, but what you introed to them with the favorite parts, I thought I was voting for that.
That's fair. Just keep going, Kev. What was your favorite parts?
My favorite parts, I really liked how they touched the Leia story. I thought going into this, I thought it was going to be all like him basically just watching Luke. I was not expecting the turn to seeing Leia have her own adventure. It was very, it helps develop her character a lot more than you got to see that backstory between her and Obi Wan. It's very cool.
I was a big fan of Leia's inclusion as well. I like that they made, she's just as important as Luke, like those two. It was never always supposed to be just Luke, like she was also just as important. So I did really appreciate that.
It gives you a lot more significance to her message.
Yeah. She was looking for that one guy to come and save her. Would you change anything about the series?
Not really. I was kind of hoping for more flashbacks. I know I'm asking for a lot.
Yeah.
But I think I would have loved to seen some Clone Wars stuff. Like seeing Obi-Wan back in the Clone Wars armor.
I think so too.
I would have been a kid on Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, well they only used like a very early Attack of the Clones when they weren't really brothers at that point. Like it was a very contentious relationship.
I did like that though, watching
I liked it, yeah.
It was cool.
I think it would have been nicer if we had that training and then also had one where they were much closer.
Yeah, like even
Revenge of
just
the Sith.
like even if they were just like a flashback to a battle where Obi-Wan taught Anakin a lesson. Just something to give those fans something too.
Yeah, and see them fight like battle droids, like that would be really cool. Because the battle droids in Mandalorian looked awesome.
Yeah,
and and being able to see them again with them fighting them, that'd be cool. All right, so overall, I want to ask the last question here. There's been a lot of rumors circling. Would you want a season 2? There's been rumors of a Reva spinoff, and there have been, people are asking for a spinoff with Darth Vader. So I just want to open that up to the room. Would you guys be down for any of those 3? You can answer in any order you want. Go ahead, Troy.
All right. So much for the any order.
Pat pointed to Troy. I said any order, and then Pat pointed. So
honestly, I don't want a second season of Obi-Wan. I love Ewan, but I would love to see him in it, but I can't get behind another season. Like, leave it kind of where the closure is. He met Luke. We got the hello there. We got the significance in, Leia's message and all that stuff. She clearly was better than Bail at asking for help.
Yeah, she kept that message pretty secret.
We're at this coordinates right here. I'm going to see Luke.
So, I don't know.
Did I mention Luke is now?
Luke is the son. And Leia's the daughter, in case you didn't know. But see ya. On Tatooine, where Luke is.
Neptune's crown. Just want to let you know, it's at Shell City. Neptune's crown.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
I don't think a second season's needed. I think we got what we wanted. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to keep saying I want to see Ewan in more stuff because that means a second season. But I like seeing him as Obi-Wan. I think he's great. In terms of Reva spinoff, I think if you kept her alive at this point, I kind of want to see what she ends up doing.
Right.
But I don't think I need a whole show on her at the same time.
I mean, you wanted her dead, so
yeah, exactly. So like, I did.
All of you guys did.
It would have been better for the plot.
I think like her arc was there, and they could have just ended it at that. So, I mean, like I'm not ruling out a Reva spinoff, but I want to see what it is, what their thoughts are before they go into like production, because then I can really kind of decide that way. But was there a third thing that you wanted to do?
Darth Vader spinoff. Oh, if there was to be one.
I mean, if Disney's gonna go dark like they did, I'm in. Yeah. I'm way in for that. I don't think it's needed, but I'm in for it. I mean, if they're gonna make a series about Andor, I think they could do one about Darth Vader. But
yeah.
All right, Pat.
How about you, Pat?
So season 2 with Obi Wan, not needed, not asking for it, but like Troy said, I'd like to watch Ewan on the screen. So I'd watch it, but I don't think it's necessary. Vader, Vader.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll take any Vader content they can make. I don't care if it's a 2-minute clip on YouTube or a 10-season show. I'll watch it. Reva, I don't want to see a show where she is now. I would be interested to see her as a child after Order 66 and how she survived, how she got involved with, the Inquisitors and that. So I would take that. I don't think that's where they'd go with it, but yeah, that's how I feel about it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
How about you, Kev?
I'm kind of in the same boat with Reva too. Like, I don't think it's necessary to go with her story anymore because I don't even know what they would make her go. I have no direction on how they could go with it. It's just I think her story ended good. Like it ended perfectly to where she got her closure. She did what she needed to do. I think it was all right. As far as Vader, yes, yep. I've been lobbying for this Vader for like 6 years now.
Nobody loves Vader more than Kevin. Nobody.
Unhinged Vader.
Yes, just to watch him just tear things apart, snapping kids' necks.
Jesus, man.
Snapping necks and cashing checks. That's my Vader.
Bringing down ships and just not even an ounce of struggling with it.
No substance at all in the show. Just
murdered. Give me a trilogy of this Vader.
All right, we're gonna keep Kevin on the watch list for a little.
It's probably low for a while.
And then a season 2 Kenobi, if any.
I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Like I said, I really don't know what direction. I mean, it could be a Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, their training.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be like a cash grab. I think it's good where it was.
Yeah, I agree. All right, fellas. Thank you so much for joining.
The Force be with you.
He said the thing.
And with you as well.
Also with you.
And that concludes the interviews. I want to thank all my guests again for joining me with this. I so appreciate you coming on and giving your opinions. Unfortunately, I was in contact with a couple other guests, but we couldn't get anything scheduled before this episode was going to come out. But I will be circling back with you guys for the next show that releases. But yeah, this was a lot of hard work to put together, and I'm really proud of the final product for you guys. And I really, really hope you enjoy this. And definitely look forward to more content like this in the future with all the different shows and movies that are coming out. I definitely look for opportunities to get as much of the community involved as possible to not only give you guys a platform to talk about Star Wars, but also to expand the show and really reach as many people as possible. So once again, thank you for listening. Thank you to all the guests. Follow me on Instagram for more content like this at @star_wars_mark of balance. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and may the Force be with you. Peace.